Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show. My name is Allison Pickering, and at the Tarot Flow Show, the star of the show is Synchronicity. So the Tarot Flow Show is where Synchronicity is the star. And I'm your host, and I am so happy today to have our special guest. So let's say hello to Mike Bonner. Let's say hi to Kefri Scarabus. And they're going to be with us today. We're going to be meeting Mike, and Kefri's going to be supporting us with readings. He is our Scandinavian savant. Mike, I have known for a number of years, and super happy to have you here joining us for the Tarot Flow Show. We've known each other a little while, and you have a nickname, Mr. Bonner, because you're such a brilliant hair designer of being the Hierophant, or is it the Hierophant? And that's a tarot nickname. Tell us a little about that.
It's either one. It has a couple different meanings. One, because I'm a hairdresser and I've been a hairdresser my whole entire life. And people constantly tell me, oh, I always feel like I'm going to see my priest or to do a confession or my therapist or whatever. So I never claim to be the Hierophant, but I do like to channel the energy of the Hierophant, because I do think it's I've been placed in this role somehow, and I've figured out that it is a role that I need to accept. And so that's one. Number two, I always get the Hierophant in my readings. And it is also I do music. And so it's my music artist name as well. Yes.
All right. And
so I don't claim to be a teacher. Does that make sense? I'm not
a teacher.
Yeah, I don't ever claim to be a master at anything, especially telling people what to do or giving them unsolicited advice. I am just as much of a student as well.
Well, when we come to the hairdresser, we like some of that, and that's part of the service, I think. So I'm sure you do it well.
But even so, though, even in that role, I still have to remain super humble.
Absolutely.
Completely humble.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you all over the years, because you have made me feel beautiful, whether the case was there or not, all these years, and all kinds of changes and things, and lots of really good conversation. And so we're going to continue that here today. So speaking of the Hierophant, we're going to bring in that card, and we're going to have a little quick focus on the Hierophant card. Now you got me all mixed up here. And let me go ahead and put up an image of that particular card. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, there's our Hierophant. And the Hierophant is someone who is, like you said, the teacher's teacher. He brings down the mysteries and gives it to us. He structures it for us. And Kefri, what are some things that we should know about the Hierophant that we may not be aware of quite yet?
I think the two pillars we see in the background is very similar to the High Priestess, actually, but they aren't named. But those energies are there, I think, I would say. And also he is the initiator, as you already has mentioned.
So when this card comes up, it may be indicating that you are going through some sort of an elevation or initiation or an inner teaching or some kind of an expansion of your thinking or of your inner lessons, things like that.
That makes sense. One thing that I was told in a reading, and I can't remember when this was, not too long ago, but not recent, with the two pillars. Of course, I've always noticed them, but they were working in numerology with it. And they were saying that the pillars represent 1 and 1, which is 11. So I don't know.
When you look at the major arcana of the tarot, that hinge point of all of them is the number 11. That's the justice card. That's the one that holds the balance. And so it's all about that. And then as if you're going to be doing any of our classes, then you can learn, and if you know tarot at all, then those two pillars are very much related to the Kabbalistic tree of life, the pillar of severity on the left, the pillar of mercy on the right, and then that central pillar is kind of represented, or the pillar of mildness, of balance, is represented by that Hierophant figure. So there you go. There's our little intro to the Hierophants. Not so much the Hierophant, but we already have the Hierophant as a I'm going to go ahead and bring in another slide right now and see how we want to go ahead and take a look and do some questions for you, Mike, if you don't mind. So I'm going to bring to the stage, so to speak, our major of majors and our main character in the tarot. And this is the one who's journeying through it and learning all the things. And he's basically a representation of our soul. And this is the Fool card. And you mentioned this before, Mike, that you kind of cycle between this Fool who's traveling through this journey. And as we look at this journey, here's a bunch of major arcana cards. These are the 21. That Fool was the number 22. And here we have a lot of cards, and each of those cards has a little interview question. And so I'm wondering what question you might want us to ask you today. Pick a card, any card, Mr. Mike. This is where you get a serendipitous question.
Oh, okay. Any card?
Any card you like.
My other favorite is the Death card.
The Death card. Okay, so that is this card right here, the Death card number 13. And an affirmation for the Death card is, every ending is an opportunity for something new to emerge. And so this isn't about physical death. It's about cycling, and it's about change, and it's about also transformation and the shedding of skins. So a question that would go with that Death card is, when was the last kind of big shedding of skins that you experienced, and what new kind of energies came after that or behind that?
Oh, wow. I would have to say it happened to summer of 2021. I had just a bunch of one major thing in my life that was occupying a lot of it. All of it, my mind, my body, my soul, everything, my emotions. I finally was able to get to the end of it. And so what that did was it showed me a lot of things, and particularly it showed me this one particular cycle that I have with narcissists, and being raised by a couple of them, and having a lot of chaos and a lot of things like that around me growing up. Obviously on a psychological level, you attract these things, or they're attracted to you. You're attracted to them because they're familiar subconsciously, whatever. I was able to break that cycle, because what I've been working on for at least 10 years is learning how to fully accept things for what they are and how they are, and then being able to process it and let it go. So this was summer of 2021 marked a new chapter for the way I perceive all of that. And I really do feel, because I put it into practice without even really trying, the art of accepting and letting go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's so well said. And it's so encapsulated, and so articulates a way that Death card can kind of live in us, and like a way that we can. What's that?
With my star sign being Scorpio, that is the Scorpio card. And again, like I was saying with the Fool and then the Magician, I'm constantly in this cycle. So those are usually the cards I put out on my altar. Those are like the staple cards. So it would be the Fool, the Magician, the Hierophant, Death, and Justice. I feel like those 5 cards represent me internally, and wow. what I try to. They're my main source of power and my main source of inspiration when I have, and go to when always. I'll just say always, but in particular when things are actually happening, those are the cards that I really, really sit and focus on. So they're always laid out, if that makes sense.
And which cards were they again? The first one was
the Fool, the Magician, Death, Justice, and oh my God, what was the other one I just said? And the Hierophant.
And the Hierophant.
Yeah.
Those are all super powerful energies. And to me, it also kind of gives evidence to your Scorpio-ness that feels like home, all that deep churning kind of energy.
I
Feels
need,
like home to you.
right.
And maybe those narcissists felt like home too, and you got to kind of move to a new house and figure out a new way to live and all that kind of stuff, because having a comfort zone around people who aren't treating you right is not so good, So
Yeah, and I always thought it was my responsibility, and maybe this is where the Hierophant card comes back in to everything, where I felt like it was my duty, even as a child, to keep things together.
Oh,
even for the adults. And then I'm the firstborn of all the kids, and like the first grandkid as well. So I've always had this. I've been put in this role of sort of leadership and having to take care of things my whole life, and it's not something that I ever asked for or wanted, but I've learned a lot throughout the different stages of my life. I've learned how to fine tune it, and that's why I said earlier, I'm constantly a student. I will always be a student, because I'm learning new things all of the time. And it's going back to what you were saying about synchronicities. The synchronicities are there. We need to be able to turn our head slightly or fully, or look up or look down, and be able to notice all of those, because I believe they tell us things. They tell us if we're in the right spot, if we're headed in the right direction for ourselves, not anybody else's path, and those are the things that I really look for. It could be the most subtle things, or it could be really, really obvious things. But for me, that's one of the biggest parts, I think, of learning for me.
And when you've worked with tarot in the past, when you've been thinking about, do you keep cards with you? Do you keep how do you use tarot in your life?
It changes, I guess. But for the most part, I used to do daily like drawing of a card or so. Now whenever I actually just kind of feel it, and it doesn't really coincide so much with if I have a question about something, or if I need maybe more guidance, if I'm stuck with something, or if I need a different perspective on things, I'll pull tarot. Right now I'm in a phase of more sort of, how can I say this? Instead of picking a random card out of the deck, I will notice the synchronicities happening around. And then from there, it'll trigger a certain card, whether it's in the major arcana or not. And then I'll go sifting through the deck and then pull those cards out. So I've been kind of doing it in a different way I would say the last year.
Okay.
Less random, and I'm pulling from things that present themselves to me. And it's a different way of reading tarot, but I feel like it does answer my questions, because it does line up with the synchronicities that I'm noticing and that I'm seeing. Whereas before I would do maybe, let's say, a daily practice of pulling a card or 3 or something like that. I don't know where that changed, but it's been about a year now where that's kind of how I'm doing it. If I want to pull the energy from a certain card, that's another way that I'll use tarot as well. So I'm kind of using them more. I don't know what the word is. I guess instead of it being sort of random, I'm kind of pulling with purpose.
Pulling with purpose. I like that. Yeah. Well, I think that's it. And another thing that is interesting is that it illustrates how flexible a tool the tarot can be, as a kind of internal conversation, as a tool for reflection, as a way to kind of have a conversation with yourself around, what does this mean? Or I'm feeling a lot of churn in myself right now. What's going on? It can often really give you a lot to think about. And so if you're feeling lonely, boys and girls, you can talk to your tarot cards, and it makes a really good conversation.
Yes, you can.
So do you want to do a reading now with us? I appreciate your coming on the show. Absolutely.
I would love to.
That would be wonderful. Do you want to do it like cold and just see what they happen, how the cards fall, or would you like to give us an orientation?
Yeah.
Jeffrey is going to do the honors of shuffling up and laying out the cards and showing us a 6-card reading, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And so you tell us how you want to do it, and we'll do it the way you want it.
I don't really have a specific question, so let's just see what they have to say.
Okay. All right. We're just gonna let it rip then. Here we go.
See what happens.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring on our interface here. And So, Kefri, I appreciate your drawing the cards today, and you can see our lovely tarot interface there that Kefri is managing. I want to give a shout out to Brian Campbell and to for organizing originally 3 years ago our little tarot magic circle that has that I'm so grateful for, and that this is an offshoot of. And here we go. So Mike doesn't have a specific question, and we're just going to go ahead and, by the way, let me orient people to this layout. In the top row, the middle card is our issue at hand. So the middle card is the issue that we're going to be looking at, whatever that turns out to be, whatever the cards are showing us today. On the left is going to be a cautionary advice. So you may want to do this kind of thing, but perhaps it would be better to avoid that. And on the right is a more recommended direction to ensure your greatest growth, greatest good, and all that good stuff. On the bottom, we have a timeline of past, present, and future. And that's what we'll be looking at right now. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to let Kefri go ahead and start populating our reading. Let's give this a moment.
So the top center card is also the significator in other.
It's the significator is the issue. So you're our significant, you're our querent, you're our readee, you're our victim at this moment. And let's go ahead and pull our significator. So, Kefri, you're going to go ahead and pull some cards now, unless you would like me to pull the cards, and you're going to populate them. How would we like to do that?
We can do it in turns if you want, Alison.
I think I would like. So I'm going to ask.
Or you can do it.
All right, well, I'm going to do it, and I'll tell you. So here we go.
Yeah.
And what we need is some Jeopardy music. Mike, will you sing us a little song while we're doing this, please?
Oh, God. I would have turned on
StreamYard. We can bring in a little music. Let me do it.
I was just gonna... If I'd have known, I would have put together a synthesizer. I would have looked it up.
So I have in front of me, I have shuffled up, and then I spread out my cards like a little snaky thing, and I choose from them based on where my eyes kind of fall. So let's pick a significator for Mike here in our mystery reading, and that is the issue at hand. You just can't make it up, people.
Told you.
There you go. And let's go for it. And now we'll do our past, present, future. So our past card, Mike's past for this reading or for that, is the Two of Cups.
Two of Cups.
Interesting.
And then we also have in the present time the Eight of Wands. And then we have coming up in future. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
choices. Oh, that's so Scorpio. You're like, no problem.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, look at how interesting the past compared to that future, or that future card is.
Yes, exactly.
That is.
And then let's take a look. In terms of the harmonious and then the painful?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the cautionary card. Caution. I
think I already know what this is saying to me.
Okay, good. Do you want to do the reading?
Yep.
And that's the Eight of Swords in the cautionary. And then some advice for you, Mr. Bonner, is the Judgment card. Well, who needs a reader when you can read it yourself?
No, I just it's just look at the difference of polarity between the two top left and right, and then the polarity between the two left and bottom.
Exactly.
Just visually
noticing. Yeah.
There's a lot.
So you are sitting in the middle of this in that Hierophant position. Kefri, do you want to put that up in the focus position?
Yeah.
Hierophant, and I can see that Kefri is deep in thought himself. He's a brilliant, brilliant reader, and he's going
I
to give us.
cannot wait.
Thank
do,
you.
and
Thank you.
I'm your like mundane girl. I'll give you the mundane interpretation, and then Kefri's going to give us something a little bit more soul driven, I think. So you in the middle there are in the driver's seat. You have learned the lessons. You are structuring your life in a way that you know is wiser than you have done in the past, and you're kind of disciplining yourself to make the right moves and not make impulsive moves.
Yep, that sounds about right. Without forcing anything.
Without forcing anything.
Yeah.
And then the Hierophant also brings down, like the magician does, he brings down energies from above, but rather than kind of manifesting in the world, he's kind of structuring it and making it good for consumption.
And comprehensible, I find.
Comprehensible, exactly. Yeah. And so looking at that past, present, future flow here, it looks like you had some kind of a partnership or a good relationship in the past. And I don't think that this is referring to what we were talking about when we were talking about that death card, but it may well be. But this idea of a healthy partnership or a meeting of the minds, an ability to see well together, and things moving fast. In the present time with this 8, let's put up that 8. In the present time, this is the 8 of Wands. This is energy moving quickly. It's strong energy and it's coming through. It could also be travel. This is very representative of travel. And so it seems like from this place of poise and understanding in the past has now come all this zoom, zoom, zoom action. And coming up in the future, it looks like you may need to make some plans that involve making a decision. And it may involve making a decision that may not involve that other person or may not be something that is exactly the same as what had been agreed upon before. And so it's possible that you're waiting on talking about it or waiting on moving on it or doing something, because to move out of that place of choice is to make a decision. And that necessarily takes the other one out, and that can feel bad. That kind of matches up to the cautionary thing, which is telling you not to, and that's the 8 of Swords up in our cautionary place, and that's telling you to not wait and not delay too much in making whatever this decision is, in expressing yourself or in moving. The 8 is present in the idea, but the 8 isn't yet present in your plans. And so you haven't quite yet concretized or made doable this thing that you have in mind. And the advice card in that Judgment, and by the way, this 8 of Swords that we're looking at before we change over right now, often indicates that the blindfold is of your own making, that you can, in fact, make faster progress, but you don't really want to quite yet. And so it's encouraging you to not delay, since that's in the cautionary place. And then as we look over to this Judgment card in the advice position, it's kind of saying, well, the time has come. And it's, kind of do your thing or move off the pot, or it's time. Again, like that death card that you are fond of, this is another one that is like it's time for yet another new identity. And so as you have reinvented yourself all over the years, across the years, I know you've had salons in California, you had a salon in Amsterdam. I know that you have done lots of things in your life. You've been a boxer, you've been all kinds of things. It may be time for yet another reinvention.
I think I'm out of looks. I think no, there's definitely.
That's what I'm seeing here. I'm going to go ahead and let you speak to it, and then Kefri, you may have some things to talk about it too. What do you think?
Oh, sorry.
By the way, that is Stefan Heller, who is a wonderful, wonderful bishop and teacher and professor. And I'm going to wave a book of his.
There we are. Sorry.
That's all
which
right.
is really wonderful here, called The Fool's Pilgrimage. And it's about tarot. And you can see that it's a well annotated book of mine.
Mm.
And if you look, Stefan with a PH, Heller, Hoelleller, you will, your mind will be opened. You'll be thinking more deeply in a hot minute. Or maybe a slow minute, because he is a considered communicator. Oftentimes I'll play the lectures back at about 1.25 speed, and that works well for me. It's because
Really?
he really strings together a phrase in a gorgeous way, and it's
Oh.
very worth checking out. Anyway, Kefri, go ahead and talk.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I see basically the same as you see, Alison. But I can go a bit deeper, perhaps. And I see that there has been some union in the past. And that can be a relationship, but it could also be deeper inside of you, Mike. And that has given a lot of thoughts at the present time, and different ideas how you should go on with things and so on. And I don't think we should be afraid of the Three of Swords, because there is something underneath the heart also, and that is pinpointed from all the direction, and I think that is what you are searching here. And looking at the advice card here for the judgment, I think it is a sort of an awakening that is starting inside of you, actually. And I think that the Eight of Swords there, it's like, just let it happen. Don't make it go faster than it should. Be in it and feel what you want to do with it. And connected to the Hierophant, it is also like you are both a learner from probably a universal Hierophant, but in this process you are also growing into the role of the Hierophant yourself. And also looking at, again, the Eight of Swords, she is blindfolded, but she can look down behind or beside the blindfold and see a bit of her areas. And you can perhaps do that while you still are still and don't do any decisions or take any decisions. And I think I stopped there. Thank you.
I definitely do connect with what you just said about sort of this waiting period. I don't know how to say this because I don't really know how to explain it. I do feel that there's another, there's evolving. There's my evolution is coming up. This other cycle of it. I just haven't been able to put my finger on what. And so I made a decision this last summer to just take my hands off the steering wheel. And earlier I had mentioned just kind of leaving things, keep my eyes and ears and everything open, my heart, soul, all of it open, to see these synchronicities, to see, because I honestly, I don't have a real direction that I'm going in. This is the first time in my life that I'm just being. If that makes any sense. I don't have any major goals. Yeah. I don't have, I've had a lot of years, 25 years, 26 years, something of just constant going. And you know what I mean? So, and planning, and I always have these things coming up, but like I was saying, this is really the first time in my life where I don't have any of that. And it also is the first time in my life that I feel comfortable with it. Whereas before I would need to at least be writing down a lot of different things, of possibilities of things that I want to explore, that I want to do. But I really do feel like I'm being put, and I don't want to say forced, because that's not the right word, but I'm being put in this position with this perspective for a certain reason. I can't figure out why or what. And so this does help quite a bit, especially that bottom row, because I think that bottom row with the 2 of Cups, the 8 of Wands, and then the 3 of Swords, that definitely tells the story. Like the first thing that it evoked was the story of this last relationship that I had, which without that, I wouldn't have been able to recognize and break all of the cycles that I've been trying to break and overcome my entire life. That last bottom row there is very, very, very symbolic of that. It's the meeting of 2 people, and everything went really fast, really quickly. Not by my accord, but that's just the way that it went, and the way that it ended was definitely with that 3 of Swords for sure. And then to make matters worse, the cycle had to happen 3 times in order for it to actually come to completion. So that 3 is definitely, this is symbolic to me of not just the ending of that, but the way that it ended, and it was the 3rd time.
Interesting. And that card also has like Kefri was pointing out, the idea that the swords are coming together, and that it's kind of like that realization. And so I think that it also recognized what this can signify in this future position with that 3 is that you're moving on. You have now the recognition of the reality of those three big realities, those 3 repeats, those 3 swords in your heart. To
oh my God. And weirdly enough, sorry to interrupt, I just realized this. The last 3 significant people at the end during this cycle here, there were 3 significant people that led me ultimately to the end of this.
Oh wow.
Same archetype of people. That was just, one was at, let's say, a level 3, the next one was like a 7, and then the last one was like on a 50.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So that's, I find it extremely uncanny that that last row is presented that way. That's why I had said earlier, oh, whoa, I think I kind of know where this is going, but then it's sort of. But Kefri, your both of your readings together really clarified that. Yeah. For sure. The top row. Yeah, the top row. Well, I don't know. I still think that I'm very humble with my approach to everything with tarot and guidance and all of this. And so it does I don't think uncomfortable is the right word, but it like growing into the Hierophant, that's a lot of responsibility.
And well, it's interesting. It's the Judgment card. Let's put up that Judgment card, Kefri.
Yeah.
I think that this is inviting you to really step up, stand up, breathe deep, consider like a really nice big horizon for yourself, and maybe think bigger than you've been thinking in the past for this next phase, because you have, I think, wrought what you need to out of this. And I think that that's also that 3 of Swords, is that the idea that you've learned this lesson and you can move on from this one, and now it's time to open up in all of these coffins or tombs that these people are being raised out of, is with this new outlook, this new information, this new pink, green, purples, all these beautiful, cool colors from above, and this trumpet kind of waking you up into a new identity. So I really look forward to seeing how this new identity emerges, because I've seen you through a few of them, and I'm looking forward to this 3rd one, because you have a lot to offer. For those of you who would be interested in working with Mike at some other point, we're going to put the contact information in the details below in our YouTube notes here. And I'm going to say bye-bye. Any more notes on our reading today? Any final words to comment today on this particular reading?
There is a very strong fire energy in the Judgment card. And that is what is driving you for the moment, I think, and that is a fire energy you are not used to, because it comes from a higher plane, and it means to activate you to go further, actually.
That makes sense. That makes
And
a lot.
I want to pick a card. I apologize for interrupting you. I just wanted to pick a card to kind of accompany you in this awakening that's upcoming. And we can lose the judgment card and then put the new one in that position. And let's see what's going to be a good companion energy for Mike in the time upcoming. And interesting. Unexpected.
Oh, wow. That's another one I get a lot of.
Okay, so this is the Four of Pentacles. And in terms of a companion energy, so I would say sit tight. I don't think you're moving necessarily. I think you're staying where you are and consolidating and starting to really take stock to different than the Seven of Pentacles that has a guy looking at a kind of harvest pile of pentacles. This is stuff that you've already got. And so the idea is, what can you structure to your best benefit? How can you take what you have and structure this to work for you in the long term?
Oh,
I would say
I kind of
it's a good energy there.
I kind of feel like I already have been.
Good.
When I moved into my current place a year ago and into Montrose, I feel like that's what I've been. That Four of Pentacles is what I've been doing the last year. But I had a pretty big burst around January, February, where I don't have a lot of things, but I went through one more flush, so to speak, where I just kind of was going through everything again, and another one. But it wasn't like a very big one. It was just these other little sort of things that were around that, by me just knowing that they were there, I felt cluttered, even though it wasn't actually cluttered. Does that make sense?
Right. And so this card is kind of indicating, all right, good that you're getting rid of the clutter. Figure out what you're going to hang on to. What's really going to work for you. And I really think that this is about some kind of investing and some kind of a thing that is going to multiply itself to help you in your future. So we're going to figure that out together. What do you see, Kefri, there?
Something comes to me, and that is maintain your fortress and develop it further.
Maintain your fortress and develop it further.
That's also accurate and ironic at the same time.
What's the irony?
I just had a conversation with my neighbor, who's a very good friend of mine, and I had told her that, I think I've mentioned this to you, Allison, before, that I said my last place that I felt was my home was my desert house. And the conversation that I had with her yesterday was what's been going on in my mind for the last couple months. And it's basically looking at my place and really, really making it my home.
Yeah, by the way, this is the real estate
conversation with her yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. And this is the real estate card. So if you were ever in a position to invest in real estate, things like that, that might be something to think about. All of this. So it's really about anchoring. You can see how he's like, let's get settled. Yeah.
And I'm all about the anchor.
Yes, I can see. That's right. That's right. All about the anchor.
Wow, that's interesting. That's crazy. I just had the conversation with her yesterday, because she was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, give me some specifics. And so I gave her a few different things, and she goes, wow, that actually sounds like you're going to make that your home now, which made her very happy.
Good.
Yeah, I'm making happy.
And since you've moved there, you've seen the energy has been a lot lighter, at least that I've noticed. So yeah. All right, we're gonna say farewell to this reading. If you want to take a screenshot, you should go ahead and do that.
Oh, I've already been writing.
You have the recording. You're gonna have the recording. You've been taking notes. Look at you. Good. All right.
Overachiever.
That's you. So, well, people, this is the Tarot Flow. So I hope that everybody has enjoyed this kind of.
I loved it. Thank you.
Reading. My pleasure. I appreciate your being a willing victim because you're like, you kind of open up your life and your privacy to other people to see, and we're putting it all over the interwebs and everything. It's and
If
why
I
not?
can open any way like that, that's also, again, it goes back to that Hierophant card, to the Hierophant card. Even something like this where I went into this, of course, not thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to teach anyone anything or whatever. But of course, look at, how it's going to be used and how I hope that this can actually help somebody else. That's generally the state that I'm in constantly, is I just want whatever I've learned, I want to be able to pass it on unsolicitedly, but just to if I can help somebody in any way with my personal experiences, I would love to be able to help somebody else do the same thing,
Wonderful.
whether help them navigate or help them get out of something, because sometimes I wish that I had someone there for that, but I do like the fact that my journey has been a journey of one. I think it's been very important for me this time around for it to be a journey of one. No distractions.
There
Full
you go.
responsibility and full accountability,
The distractions can kind of take us off course, don't they?
Yeah.
We need them, of course. We need them.
Oh, I love a good distraction. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, question for you, professionally speaking, you're cutting hair, you do hair designs, you do hair consultations. If someone were interested in working with you, is it okay if they contact you and you can do remote consultations as well as in-person visits? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we will debut your future business as that develops, because we've been talking about that. And I look forward to really sharing all the opportunities that you're going to offer to folks as that develops. And then speaking of opportunities, everyone, we are going to be having, starting in the summertime, we're going to start our Tarot Flow Academy. And so it's going to be a really exciting opportunity for you to learn about tarot and oracles and Kabbalah and all kinds of things. We are going to go deep, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yay.
It's going to be very visual. It's not going to require a lot of reading, although, I love my books, but this is going to be a visual learning experience and an exchange with people. It's going to be this kind of a format. So, and we're going to have a community around it where we can practice together. We're going to have events. We're going to have all kinds of really good stuff. So it's guidance. It's really individual path work in a very joyful way. And then we're going to have lots of practice and events and online get-togethers. So what could be better, And so that's what's happening with our Tarot Flow. Stay tuned. We're debuting in June with the Academy. And I want to thank you both for joining us here today. I want to thank you, Mike, for being a guest and for subjecting yourself to the microscope of the tarot reading, or the macroscope.
Anytime.
Join us again and help with readings, because you have a wonderful flow yourself in how you see the cards. And everybody, I hope that this has been useful for you. And we look forward to seeing you at the next time, tarotflowshow.com or AlisonPickering.com. It will also take you to the same place. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Waving bye-bye, Kefri. I appreciate you. Michael Bonner, I appreciate you. I'm Alison Pickering. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.